What do you do all day? You know, it's hard to ask that question without sounding accusatory, but it is genuine. What do you find yourself spending the majority of your free time doing? Because evidently, we are not playing enough MultiVersus, guys. What's been going on with that, people? You know, I'll tell you what's going on. Smash is better. That's what it is. I was playing Smash last night with my friends, getting bodied by some of the best duck hunt can control you could imagine. I was having a blast. Unfortunately, I kind of felt like this thing was doomed from the outset, especially because the novelty of seeing Tom and Jerry in a fighting game is immediately undercut by them also functioning as a microtransaction. Like, a live service fighting game? A platform fighter, no less? Like, it takes a very specific type of dedication from a very specific type of person to play any fighting game every day, which is what these live service games would very much like for you to do. I do not even play Smash every day. When I had a lot more time, I used to, but like, even the best platform fighters that aren't Smash still end up bleeding players. And same with great live services. Like, there's just not enough attention to go around. When you think about it, being a live service platform fighter is an insane Venn diagram of competition. Oh yeah, with our full chest, we're just making a game that has to compete with Super Smash Bros., League of Legends, Fortnite, Apex, Final Fantasy XIV, Genshin Impact, but we're gonna come out on top because we have Pickle Rick? Come on. You need more than just nostalgic characters. What initially sells people on Smash is the great characters and gameplay, but what keeps people is everything else. The stages, music, modes, collectibles, items, trophies, customization options, all under one price tag. On top of the fantastic characters and gameplay. I was originally thinking that they should have just sold the whole thing for $40 and then just done DLC character passes. Just continue to follow through with copying Smash. Come on. But that is a tough sell with no single player. And I guess $40 is roughly what it would cost to get all the characters at launch. And it's still tanked. So I do not know what the solution is. How are you gonna put LeBron in your game and it still fails? Like, really? Not even Warner Brothers can keep a live service from tanking? Let's talk specifically about the roster. This might be a hot take, but after mulling it over for a bit, I actually think that the concept of a Warner Brothers crossover fighting game is inherently, like, not very good. And I don't think it's I don't think it was ever going to work like one might instinctively think it would. The reason that Smash has always worked so well is that it is a celebration of video game characters specifically. And for the majority of the medium's lifespan, video games have not been considered as legitimate of an art form as movies and TV. Therefore, with some goofy exceptions, video game characters really only appear in video games. Meaning that people's experience with those characters are going to be much more insular. For example, a person's experience consuming all of the media that contains Samus is going to be way more consistent than the experience of someone consuming all of the media that contains Batman, you know? And per that consistency, Smash has a much more controlled set of experiences to pull from, and can predict with decent certainty that players will get the reference. Warner Brothers characters, by contrast, some of them have existed in media for nearly a century, guaranteeing that different age groups are going to have different impressions and memories of those characters. I grew up in the 2000s, watching hella Tom and Jerry on DVD. I remember one of the best and most iconic episodes is the one where they're fighting in the piano. That one is Go Ted! IMO, the character is an unfun Duck Hunt and Olimar hybrid, and not a single one of their moves references that piano episode. Therefore, bad character. And I know that the character can actually perform quite well, they're just not really my tempo, you know? I'm more of a Crag kind of guy, more of an Ike kind of guy. But that's just me. You see what I mean? Someone with a different experience with that IP probably feels entirely different about the character, if they feel anything at all. I bet there are some people who wanted Shaggy to just look like a 3D model of this guy. It's me. I am some people. Meanwhile, literally everyone who has played Path of Radiance sees Ike doing the Great Ether, and they're like,
I know what that is!
And like, people who were born in the late 2000s, early 2010s, who grew up on like Adventure Time and Steven Universe, do they even give a fuck about Tom and Jerry? Or Gremlins? Or Marvin the Martian? Would they even care about Bugs Bunny if it weren't for Big Chungus or Space Jam The Meltdown? I mean, I'll be honest, I'm 23, and I don't even really care about Bugs Bunny, like, that much. I mean, I don't dislike him, I mean, he's cool, but if you told me to start listing my favorite characters, none of the Looney Tunes are breaking the top 50. That's just how it, like, that's just how it is. You know, I'm also feeling pretty jaded on superhero stuff in general right now. I like Finn and Jake, I like Steven and Garnet. It is objectively funny that LeBron is in the game. Mystery Incorporated, they're cool, but you know, it's not like my favorite thing. Tom and Jerry is like the reason I was excited to play the game. And, you know, I really tried to like them. I even paid for the skin just to try and get some sunk cost fallacy going, but you know, it just wasn't there. I'm sure there's at least one person who loves the whole roster, and more power to them. But I don't know anyone who re-downloaded to play the Gremlin. I re-downloaded to see what my friend Tyler was talking about. This part of the video is sponsored by my friend Tyler. He played the game more than anyone else I know in real life, and he got a pretty impressive rank back when the game actually had players. I'll put the whole conversation here, so if you want to pause right now and read the whole thing, go ahead, because I'm going to take it down right now when I say the word now, right now. We talked about the claim that the game has floaty movement and inconsistent hitboxes. Those are two things I agree with, but I really like what Tyler had to say about the game balance. Specifically decisions to nerf older top-tier heroes and then release new heroes that can just, like, do a lot of stuff. Morty in particular. And after checking him out, yes, he is insane. But I also feel like a lot of characters in this game are kind of overly complicated. In Smash, if you know smash attacks, tilts, aerials, specials, you can figure out what most characters do through just playing them. In MultiVersus, you need to be pulling up the move descriptions, because it feels like every character has some sort of meter or charge or an arbitrary number of moves that go on cooldown. And complicated characters are not a bad thing inherently, but it's not very casual friendly, which I imagine is what they were going for. Briefly revisiting the game also made me really remember that I am not a fan of that move scaling mechanic, that attack decay. Bro, I understand balance-wise the reason to have one, I just don't think it's fun. Also, the sound is awful, it's poison, it should be changed. I know that Smash also has move scaling, but if nobody told you or you never looked into it yourself, you'd never know. Thank you so much, Tyler, for sharing your perspective and for sponsoring this video. You will be receiving an itemized invoice from my bookie. Now, the game is not dead yet. I really want to make that clear. In fact, despite delaying Season 3, it exists, apparently. It's going to come out, theoretically. In the wake of all of these live service shutdowns, you really have to speculate about the confidence of these companies that are still pushing out their own new live service games. Making video games as they exist today is one of the most difficult and arduous tasks that a person can do. I genuinely believe that it is a modern miracle that games even get made. So it's like so sad that all of the hard work that people put into, Rumbleverse and Knockout City, hell, even the more cynical ones like Marvel's Avengers, all of that is just gone forever, to the glue factory. Even though I am not a fan of MultiVersus, I can acknowledge that at least one of the 1,000 people who are still playing it concurrently, it is likely their favorite game, and I think it would be a good thing if they were able to at least still play the thing after it stops getting developer support. You know, and at my core, I would not even call myself anti-live service. I played Fusion Fall on a 2007 MacBook. It was bad. It crashed all the time, and I loved it. In my opinion, one of the best games to come out so far this decade is Super Auto Pets, and that is a live service. You might not even instinctually think of it that way because of how not scummy its monetization is. But it is a free-to-play, always-online PvP game with microtransactions. Except, in SAP, the base pack of animals has the potential to keep you entertained for hundreds of hours. You can earn the vast majority of cosmetics through gameplay, and when they sell new packs of pets, they only cost $5 or $10 respectively, and they dramatically change the way that the game is played. You can also enable a setting that ensures you will only play against people with access to the same pets as you. It's essentially an anti-FOMO setting. It's fantastic. What is your experience with MultiVersus? How do you feel about all these live service games shutting down? And what is going to happen next? Let me know what you think in the comments. If you watched my last video all the way to the end, you might be thinking, hey, this video is not about Fire Emblem Engage. Yeah, you're right. See ya. Oh, you know, it was Rhindog. Rhindog needed a proper introduction into the DC universe before they launched the game. That was the issue. You know, players were confused by Rhindog because they didn't watch Morbius. Yeah, he's got a huge part in the film that way more people would have talked about if they saw the film. You can't prove me wrong because I know you haven't seen it. You don't know if I'm wrong.